said he was unable to grant prayer 3, which was to allow every eligible voter with a TVC to vote because it was not a passport. So how the country to grant the no portion of the law thus the 1999 Constitution. And the only key but law section 47 provided for a voter's card. At the appropriate time to call 070 093 0923 070 0923 0923. But for now, I've got joining me via phone, Barrister Richard Wokocha, former chairman, Nigeria Bar Association, Amok Branch, and associate professor of public law at the River State University. Barrister Wokocha, court is law at the moment. Ordinary the law moment. However,
in place of government of the permanent one, it will be and the argument is that this person in favor of that to use it and render the they have not been issued the permanent one by INEC.
Now, interestingly, as you also observed in your response, the judge stated very clearly that this order or judgment covers just these two fellows. Apparently, there were some prayers taught by the appellants, and there was a third prayer that this judgment of court or this order cover every other Nigerian who finds himself in a similar situation. However, the judge said he is unable to grant prayer 3, which once again was to allow every eligible voter with the TVC votes, because the suit having not been brought in a representative capacity, I find myself unable to grant any relief pursuant to prayer 3 of the plaintiff's application. What does that mean? What does the judge mean by the prayer was not brought in a representative capacity, and thus the order covers just the two appellants and not every other Nigerian in a similar circumstance?
Well, the court is referring to the fact that the claimants in the suit before the court came with a claim asking the court to declare that they are entitled to vote with TVC, having been fully and duly registered, and their data is present in INEC data bank and register. Now that suit was filed for themselves, that is these two names against INEC. And the distinction the court was making is because they have come for yourselves, I can grant prayers that you are making with respect to yourself. But if you have come as Mr. A and Mr. B for themselves and on behalf of everybody in that position, that's everybody who possesses TVC, temporary voter's card, then you would have been praying the court that you are representing everybody in that category, and your prayer that everybody in that category should be favored by that decision would have worked, and the court would have been able to grant it. But because you came as yourself, saying, look, I did this, I did that, I'm fully registered, I want you to order that I can vote with my temporary voter's card. I can grant you your prayer, but I can't extend the prayer to another person who is not a party. So if they have sued for themselves and on behalf of every other registered Nigerian who at the moment does not have permanent voter's card but has temporary voter's card, then it would have covered everybody. So that's the distinction that the court was making.
But Barrister, no, I'm a bit, maybe somewhat confused. I mean, I've had several discussions with you here in the studio, and some matters in the past that we've discussed. I can't be certain of any particular instance right now, but there have been some other matters we've discussed in the past where persons have filed matters in court, judgments were delivered in their favor, but because of the nature of the matter that was brought before the court and the judgments delivered by court, the beneficiaries of that judgment are not just the persons who went to court. There are other parties in similar situations who benefit. For example, let me give a hypothetical scenario here. If a Nigerian had gone to court on the matter of the new Naira policy of the CBN, and the Nigerian had won that case, for example, hypothetical scenario, would the judge order that only you, this Nigerian, can keep spending the old Naira notes? Every other Nigerian is not covered by this judgment of court. So only that one Nigerian can spend the old Naira notes. Everybody else is expected to spend the new Naira notes. Would that happen in that instance? And if no, why is this the case in this particular instance?
Now, a lot depends on how what is brought before the court is cashed. If I bring a complaint to you as a judge and I say, Justice Dayo, I am a citizen of Nigeria, duly registered. You can find my name on page so and so of the INEC register. I was issued temporary card. I was not issued. I have not been issued permanent card. I want you to order that I am entitled to vote. What you're asking me to do is to make a declaration as to your entitlement. But the same scenario can be presented differently. For example, I am a registered voter, like other registered voters in Nigeria. My name can be found on the register of INEC. I am asking you to make a declaration that a Nigerian, a person who is duly registered by INEC and whose particulars are available and data are available on INEC register is entitled to vote. What you are asking the court to do is to declare the legal status of a person who has registered, has been issued temporary card, and is still awaiting passage to vote. To make a declaration with respect to your status. The court grants the person to do so. A decade will affect that person, but they also have a legal implication. What is that?
Does make the other in the same situation can get saved also, or just the two situations?
That persons are able to use their that allows us to I decide to narrow the session with these two people. Let's also have them to know affecting a position. That really is the
now in this matter. The judge, while delivering judgment, referenced a prayer 3, which is that the order of judgment by significance, those who the matter in court. Was the prayer not part of the original filing, or was this prayer made? Could this prayer have been made during closing statements? And if the prayer was made, during the of the matter, did that impact the court every similar situation?
So it matters to me what after that. People have come saying that orders. That prayer covering orders would have become a proper prayer because those people would have become parties in the case since you are representing all of them. But you didn't come as representing other people. So I can grant you your prayer, but I can grant you affecting other people who are not parties in this without the right to representation. That distinction would not have been necessary. Is there a class of them?
Now, INEC by law is granted powers to determine the conduct, the procedures and processes of elections in Nigeria.
Yes.
Can one say then that by this judgment of court, INEC has been stripped of that power or that responsibility of determining how elections will be conducted? In other words, I'm also asking, can the court determine how INEC will conduct an election, as it appears it has done in this case?
No, it has not altered the powers of INEC. Neither has it changed the status of INEC as the regulatory authority for elections that organizes and supervises the conduct of elections in Nigeria. It hasn't changed that. We have to note, however, that where the law grants you power, and that same law has spelled out what is to be done, you cannot use the power granted you under that law to change what is contained in the law. The court referenced Section 7 of the Electoral Act, and that act has provided what a person who wants to vote must do. You cannot, in exercise of power granted under that same act, disqualify a person who has been qualified by the act of doing what is entitled to do. Section 47, sub 1 is a single page, a single, it's 3 lines. It's a short one, so permit me to state it. It says, quote, "A person intending to vote in an election shall present himself with his voter's card to a presiding officer for accreditation at the polling unit in the constituency in which his name is registered." With the voter's card.
Barrister Wokocha, please hold that thought. I must go for commercial break now. We'll return shortly. Do please stay with us.
Rivers people, we go do
My Rivers people, time don't reach. Make we use our hand, change the future of our beloved state for better. Time don't reach. Make we vote government. We no go just promise only, but when go act to fulfill them. So for this coming governorship election, make you come out vote Pastor Tony Echo for better servant, better infrastructure, promotion, so that we set resources go spread every local government for security to create job opportunity, improve our educational sector, grow our economy, and make Rivers State the real with Dial.
Welcome back. It is Hard Funk to Nigeria Info, your number one talk station. I'm Dial. It's 4:30 p.m. Discussions continue on the return of the TVC, if you will. Court orders INEC to allow 2 Nigerians vote without PVCs. Justice Eguatu said that the order was made on the grounds that the plaintiffs were duly registered and captured in INEC's database. My guest is Barrister Wokocha has joined me via phone. Barrister Wokocha, welcome once again.
Thank you, Dayo.
Join the conversation as well via Facebook and Twitter at Nigerians for PH at the appropriate time to call 070-0923-093. Barrister Wokocha, before the break, you were referencing, or you had quoted and were explaining Section 47 of the law with respect to voters' cards.
Yes. I'm saying what the law clearly says is the person who wishes to vote must have himself registered. And on that day, he should come with his voter's card. And with the voter's card, he will be able to cast his vote. Now, I think there is an important distinction that we need to consider, which validates or gives greater credence to the judgment of the court. The election of 2003 is different from election of previous years. Prior to this time, accreditation was dependent on the PVC card, which had a chip and which contained the information that needed to verify a voter. In this year's election, the information is not in a chip. The accreditation process is a chip. Your card is an identification. We are using a bimodal accreditation system, which identifies you by your face or your fingerprint. So your data is already in the device. The card is only an ID. What I went through on that day in casting my vote is that with the device, the picture was taken and my data appeared in the system. With that, I was asked for my card. I presented my card, and they found my name and ticked it in the register and gave me ballot paper to go and vote. So the card is only an ID. And a temporary ID is an ID issued by the issuing authority.
But pardon me, Barrister. But if you stick the temporary ID into the BVAS machine, your details would definitely not come up. So the chip on the PVC could still be said to be serving some purpose.
You know, your details come out when a photograph of you is taken or when you place your thumbprint, not the card. Well, we are using cards in previous elections. The information required to validate your participation was in the card. You fix the card like using an ATM machine, a POS machine, and it reads your information, your data from the card. But the process now is different. The bimodal system we are using now is using your face or your appendix. You look at your face or by getting your thumb. So they should be able to allow the who has the temporary card to vote because he has been duly registered as required by law. He has been identified by them with that card, pending the issuance of the permanent card. What qualifies him to vote is not the issuance of the permanent card, but it's because I think the reason of the requirement voting is registration.
Now, speaking of registration, that's number one. INEC, I presume that the INEC by law is given the powers to make regulations guiding the practice of election or the conduct of elections in Nigeria. So it can come up with access and procedures. That's one.
Yes.
On the registration, one could argue, I suppose, that INEC instituted another registration, a further registration, or a second registration, if you will, besides the one that Nigerians were part of when they got their TVCs, because you have to undergo another process that will get you that PVC. If you do not undergo that process, you do not get a PVC, which, of course, I suppose is part of INEC exercising its powers to draw up regulations and procedures and rules and all of that for the conduct of election or determining that Nigerians need to get a PVC, which, by the process set up by INEC, well, cannot be regulated.
the view as a joint process. There is actually no process, no different process. PVC. What you do is register, apply all the information, including your rent and issue a temporary voter's card as evidence that you are a registered voter. Now for the PVC, you only turn in your PVC, temporary voter's card, and select your permanent voter's card. You can apply it in other registration. It's like being a driver who has done registration, you've done your driving test. All you need to do as a driver, and you have been issued a temporary driver's permit. No regulation, no authority can say that you are breaking the law by driving with your temporary driver's permit when the registration authority or the licensing authority has not issued you the permanent one. The temporary one, the purpose of the temporary one is to certify that you are duly registered and that you can do what you need to do with that until the permanent one is issued. It's called temporary voter's card. It's a voter's card. And you don't do any other thing. There is no other thing you do when the PVC is issued, except at best turning in your temporary one and picking up your permanent one. You don't go through any other process other than that. So registration takes place at the point of registration and supply of your data. Then you get captured and you get registered, and your name enters the voting register. And then you are issued to identify you as a voter. So the PVC shouldn't be seen as a completely different thing from the PVC. The PVC is legitimate proof of registration which should enable you to vote. It's a voter's card until you are issued a permanent one. You should be able to use it for voting until you are issued a permanent one. So I think that distinction was not really necessary, especially when you consider the voting method now, which is the BVAS, accreditation method, which is the BVAS. Uses your face or your thumbprint to identify you as fully registered voter. Confirming your registration.
Do you suppose that the courts determine how this might affect the conduct of the elections? Now, on one hand, we've had the presidential and national assembly elections take place already, which are no doubt a part of this electoral cycle. On the other hand, we've got just about a week. As a matter of fact, were it not for some other matter that was brought before the courts, the governorship and the State House of Assembly elections should have taken place or would have been taking place tomorrow. However, we do have about a week's extension for that right now. Do you suppose the courts considered how this might affect the conduct of the elections? Because as simplistic as this might sound, yes, the registered voters already exist on the INEC database. Yes, the TVC as the PVC is some kind of identification. But there is no doubt that it may alter certain aspects, maybe to what degree one might not be able to determine immediately, but it might alter the process somewhat, and this might have some impact on the conduct of the election itself. Do you suppose that this is something the court should have given some thought to? And do you think the court even gave any thought to it at all? Hello? Hello, Barrister Wokocha, are you there? Barrister Wokocha, can you hear me?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Go ahead, please.
Okay. So I was saying, it should really not have any effect. You need to see the full proceedings of the court to know if arguments went to all those areas. But there should really be nothing that this judgment will add to the responsibility of INEC. Again, we have just finished one election, so we can speak with the benefit of experience of that election, and that's the national, presidential and national assembly election. All registered voters in every unit have their data in the BVAS for that unit, in the BVAS, which will be used in that unit. All registered voters have their name displayed on the wall. At least the total number of registered voters in a poll, in a unit, INEC will have the ballot papers for that total number of registered voters in that unit. All this judgment does is say, look, when you identify a person through the papers and the presence is temporary voter card, proceed with what is to be done. There is nothing INEC needs to add. They will not need to add names to register. They will not need to add more ballot papers because they already have representing the total number of registered voters in each unit. So it does not really impute any additional physical responsibility on INEC. When I went to vote, I was privileged to see an old woman who came to vote, and she came with a national ID card instead of voter's card. Even though her face appeared in the, even though the people were able to identify her, she could not vote. And they said, sorry, ma, you have to get the other card, not this one. It's a question of identity. Her name was there in the physically displayed register, and her birth was there in the system. But she couldn't proceed because she didn't have a voter's card. So there is nothing that this judgment will add to INEC's responsibility. Absolutely nothing. The ballot papers are there for the number of registered people. It does not increase number of registered people. It simply provides for recognition of the temporary identification as an identification of a registered voter whose name is already there and whose ballot is already there to be issued. So I don't think it will introduce any technicality that will affect INEC's performance on that day. Because INEC already has the full number of registered persons and ballot papers for them.
All right, so INEC
are already on display there.
INEC has responded to this already. INEC on Thursday night said it would appeal the court judgment. The spokesperson for INEC chairman, Rotimi Ikomi, said, and I quote, INEC has been served a copy of the judgment delivered today at the Federal High Court Abuja Division, which ordered it to allow two plaintiffs to vote with their temporary voter cards. The Commission is taking immediate steps to appeal against the judgment of the trial court. What do you make of INEC's response to this and the statement that it will take immediate steps to appeal that judgment?
What it means, INEC thinks it is necessary to challenge it. But as I said earlier, I do not think that judgment does any injustice or violence to INEC. Again, what is contained in the law is voter's card, not permanent voter's card. And even if the person does not have permanent voter's card, if you issued him a voter's card, which you call temporary, in law, that is an identifiable and usable card, which you must honor until you issue him the final one, especially where the permanent one is coming from you, and you have failed to issue it or you have not been able to issue it. The ID, the voter's card, is an identification of a duly registered voter, and he is duly registered, and he has provided an identification issued by you. What shouldn't he vote? So I think if any party to a suit is entitled to respond by appealing, if he thinks that the decision needs to be appealed and that there is something to change in the decision, he's free to do that. But I don't think this is one that they can logically pursue. There is nothing contained in the regulation that changes the law.
The line's open right now. Join the conversation, if you will. Call 070-0923-0923. That's 070-0923-0923. We're live on Facebook.com/Nigeria Info PH. We're also live on Twitter at Nigeria Info PH. Let's get your take, comments, contributions, questions are welcomed at this time. Via Facebook, Emmanuel Ogbaji goes, anyone that finds way into a sphere of government, serving their own personal interest, even in decision making, is what will favor them immediately or in the nearest future. I don't have the interest of the masses. Again, call 070-093-093. Hello, hot factor, welcome. Please go on. Hello, you're live on radio. Please go ahead. Good evening, concerning this matter, I want the barrister's opinion about technical justice and philosophical justice. I ask this because I heard another lawyer say that Nigerian judges may be becoming too literal with their interpretations of the law, that is technical justice, without contextual considerations. Barrister Wokocha, your response to that, please.
His allegation may be true, but I think it does not apply to this case. What is an issue in this case is like you are being caught by road safety authorities for driving without license. You show them your temporary license issued by them in proof of the fact that you are a licensed, duly registered and licensed driver. I do not think that this does any injustice at all. And I do not think that this amounts to a literal interpretation of the rules. A permanent voter's card is the permanent one. The temporary one is the one you use until the permanent one is issued by the issuing authority. I do not think this judgment does any injustice to INEC responsibility or voting the electoral or the interest of the voter. I do not think it does any injustice.
All right, let's see. People with temporary voter cards can vote. In my polling unit, we had a case of a man who used his temporary voter card to vote. What the BVAS only needed to authenticate is to read your VIN number. As long as you have your VIN number and it is placed on the BVAS machine, it will pop up your details. That was my personal experience during the presidential election. That's from Kelly. Okay, that's an interesting account because based on the regulation set up by INEC, I don't think that should have been allowed at any polling unit at all. Hello, Hot Factory, welcome, go ahead.
Hello, there, good evening.
Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I think the people that have the temporary voter card, the amount of people that INEC have about the 9.5 million registered voters. So to me, I think they should be allowed to cast their vote because when I went to vote, they only take my VIN number, last 4 digits of my VIN number. And then all my information appear. It's not going to be like you're going to put your card inside the ATM machine. No. They will only take my 4 digits of the last 4 digits, and then all my information appear. So people that have the temporary distance, they should be allowed to vote because they are, in fact, I include them in the 93.5 million that registered voters in Nigeria. So if they include them, then they should be allowed to vote. So no need for them to go and appeal for any judgment. Thank you.
You're welcome as well. Hello, Da. Is INEC still issuing TVC? I thought it was issued last in 2014. If that is the case, then the PVC must have been out. Okay, all right. The judgment is flawed. During TVC, it was only fingerprints that were taken. INEC provided windows for Nigerians to collect their PVCs, and those that have lost theirs should apply for PVC. Why are we reinforcing negligence, indolence, and ineptitude of people in this country? That's some gold. Let's take a call. Hello, Hot Factory. Welcome. Please go on. Barrister Wokocha, what do you make of the message I just read out from Gold, suggesting that this is reinforcing negligence, indolence, and ineptitude of Nigerians? I perceive that Gold is blaming Nigerians for not going to get their PVCs.
Gold is not aware of the challenges Nigerians have faced in trying to get their PVC. It's just, who commented, talked of the message talked of PVC issued years ago. Have you forgotten that registration was on and that every year people qualify to and they register and they issue PVC until their PVC comes out? But that position is not the truth. So long as registration is ongoing and so long as citizens qualify to vote and they register, they will be issued PVC, which is to be used until their permanent voter's card is out. I do not think this is reinforcing ignorance because the gentleman may have seen those who easily got their PVC. He's probably not aware of what people have made number of times have traveled to get their PVC without being able to get it. He's probably also not aware of PVCs being found in different locations where they shouldn't be, either in the bush by hunters or in the quarters in cities. if things are supposed to be in the possession of the registering authority. So you can't tell a citizen who is doing registered, whose name is displayed in the voter list, and whose data can come up when he types in his digits. You can't tell him not to vote because you have not issued him the permanent version of the temporary thing you have issued. If you're a registered voter, all his affairs is there, this situation is there.
Hello, caller, you're welcome. Go ahead, please. You have a minute. Go ahead, please.
You see, Dayo, I say a big kudos to INEC for this. At least now there will be a huge turnout of voters. Those people that were not able to vote.
Just a moment. A huge kudos to INEC for what exactly?
Because they have allowed those that were not. Some people have not gotten their permanent voters card, but now they can vote. You know.
No.
They can vote to their temporary voters card.
No. I think you completely missed the point of the conversation. INEC has not determined anything. INEC, exactly. I suspect he didn't join the conversation from the start. So INEC did not ask anybody to use their TVC. Some persons, 2 persons particularly, went to court seeking leave of court to be allowed to use their TVCs to vote. As a matter of fact, if anything, and by the way, the court agreed with them and issued judgment in their favor. Now, if anything, INEC is against that, and INEC is saying it's going to appeal that. So that caller obviously is not aware of the situation of things. But Barrister, your final thoughts on this in about a minute as we wrap it up.
I think the judgment is progressive and it does justice to registered voters who are duly registered but unable to vote because the registering authority has not issued them permanent voters card. And as I said again, voters card is voters card. Temporary one serves the purpose of voting until permanent one is issued. It is not the status of permanent and temporary that entitles you to vote, but the fact that you are a Nigerian duly registered as a registered voter. So I think it's a progressive judgment and it does justice to the voter.
On to wrap for this conversation, thanks for joining, and especially thanks to my guest, Associate Professor of Public Law at the Rivers State University, former Chairman, Nigeria Bar Association, Assoc Branch, Barrister Richard Wokocha. Many thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.
Got a commercial break coming up shortly. Top of the hour at 5 o'clock is the news update. Remember, you can keep this conversation going via social media pages, Facebook and Twitter at Nigerians for PH. And if you didn't catch the conversation or don't know what it's really about, like the last caller, visit our Facebook or Twitter page and you can watch the entire interview and bring yourself up to speed with what exactly the situation is. When we return, discussions continue. Governor Wiki approves promotion of civil servants in Rivers State. Considering the antecedents of the state government, should workers in Rivers State be excited by this, or even the potential workers, those who might be employed, if there's truly an employment drive, should they be excited by this prospect? To stay tuned. Hard Facts continues shortly.